Welcome to The Exclusive. I'm your host, Sharon Tharp. I'm very excited about this interview today. This woman came in second. She was the runner-up of BB6, one of my favorite seasons. So I'm excited to introduce Ivette Corredero. Yvette, how are you?
Good. Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for doing this. And please be careful driving.
Yes.
Well, catch us up because
Sorry,
I
I
know
forgot video.
it's totally fine. We briefly chatted last year for the BB6 pressure cooker reunion, which was super fun. So thank you for doing that. Uh,
Yes.
People got a kick out of that. And it's been almost 20 years since BB6. Can you catch us up a little bit on life? I know you have a family now. What's going on with you?
So I have a 14-year-old boy and I have a 9-year-old girl. I'm divorced from my ex, who I share the kids with, and I'm with my new girlfriend now. It's going to be 5 years, and she's actually a girl I met a year after I was on the show, and then
Mm,
we went our separate ways and we reconnected. So it's been nice. And my
I
kids
love
absolutely
that.
adore her. Yes, yes.
Okay. Now,
hmm
do you still watch Big Brother or are you like in and out or not at all?
So all exes and new girlfriends, for some reason, love to watch Big Brother. I mean, they get so into it. So my
Wow.
ex loved it. My new girlfriend, so into it. Although I got to tell you, I think we didn't watch, was it the last one? But we're into it. And then she gets me into it. And of course, I get into it because I know it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work out next week.
You know
If
the
I could
ins and outs.
only do it one more time, honestly.
We'll get there, Yvette. We're going to talk about this because I need that. I need to see that happen. Are your kids into the show at all or no?
My son will watch it a bit. My son will watch it a bit, which is interesting. He's on the spectrum, so I always wonder if he'll ever go on the show. And he's very strategic, you know,
There's
and
been
he's
some people
just
with,
got that
yeah.
personality where everybody likes him, you know. So it'd be
All right.
interesting,
He's 14. Okay, we got a couple years until we figure
right?
that
Don't
out.
they? Don't they? Hasn't there been like an 18-year-old before? I think as long as you're an adult at 18, I think. I
I'm trying to
feel
think. I am trying to think. I mean, they barely give you alcohol anymore anyway, so I don't
right,
know.
right.
Uh,
That alcohol, that
Probably
alcohol.
from your season, maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, I think my season really put a stop on that. A lot of things ended after my season.
Yep, yep. That's
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it was a great season because it was a little messy. Which we're
Yeah.
gonna get into. Real quick though, have you over the years have you encountered people who are like, you look familiar, or do they recognize you? Because honestly, and this is a compliment, you pretty much look the same to me. But
Thank you. Thank you. My eyes that are I'm now in my reader's era. I like to say that I'm in my reader's Hoka um sciatica era. That's where I'm at right now. They do sometimes, you know what, Sharon, and I don't want to like go all over the place with our conversation. It was a little hard for me after the show, and it
yep,
was one of those moments where I said, careful what you wish for, because when I was little and when I went to college, I wanted to be an anchor woman. And, I liked the idea of being on television. My mother was obsessed with Oprah. So I thought I was going to be like the next Oprah. And I really loved it. Right. And then I got off and you're in front of all these people and they have so much to say about you without even knowing you. And I was like, Yvette, careful what you wish for. So I didn't do, and Howie, I love you. It's nothing against you, but I didn't do the Howie. Like, I didn't sit there and just live in my big brother moment, my 15 minutes of fame, whatever it is that they call it. I didn't.
yeah.
So maybe, but I have gone to a lot of places where people will follow me and be like, I know that voice,
The voice
or
is still there.
they'll
Yes.
say it. Right. And my son loves to tell everybody, right? Like his teachers, like and so people will know me. And I think now they were playing it on Netflix, weren't they, or something like that?
So BB6, I think, was either on Netflix. You're right, or one of the streaming platforms. So
So
you,
it's streaming somewhere because a lot of
yeah,
the teenagers too, they're really cute. They're like, "Oh my God,
yeah.
I love you," and I'm like, "Thank you."
Oh,
So, yeah,
well, yeah.
you know.
So Yvette, you were talking about this. You were saying like, maybe you didn't have the best experience, and I do want to ask about like the friendship and all of that. But I'm interested to know, like, do you think if I don't know, I feel like the friendship was not sort of popular back then, but I wonder now that people are watching it in 2024 if they're reacting differently.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's hard to
know.
say.
You know, I'm like putting myself out there to get judged again.
It is
You
tough.
know,
Yeah.
what is it, and I'm not in a bad place with anybody, really. And and I don't talk to really anybody except Bo. But
Mm,
like there was a lot of mean things said from Janelle, and she never got reprimanded for them. She never
mm,
got the backlash, and it was easier to attack me. And when I've watched it before, it was like she would say something, I would say something, but the only person that got really the backlash for it was me, you know? But good for her. Kudos to her that she can pull that off. There are people in life that can do that.
okay.
And then there's the other person where, they'll say one thing and that's it, and their lives are over forever.
Yep.
I mean, my life is not over, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know if they would be popular now. We're very sensitive now. I would like to think that we played the game not so ruthless, but maybe I'm wrong too. You know?
I mean, I will say, and you're not wrong in the sense that like people are biased also to who they're rooting for and who America likes, and producers lean into that. There's a lot to it.
Hmm.
And I will say, like, I do think people have come a little bit around, at least fans that I know, just because at the end of the day, you guys were an alliance and two of you got to the end and one of you won. So it's like, that was a successful alliance, right? It might not have been fun to watch. You might not have liked it, but like at the end of the day,
Right.
it works. Yeah, I guess, do you sort of look back on that experience positively or more negatively?
I do. I do. Again, I don't, you gotta have no filter sometimes, clearly still. Although I've gotten better. I've gotten better. But I'm a Latin girl from Miami. What my parents were like first generation that got here. They had to learn how to speak English. Like, you know, I never went away to college. I wasn't encouraged. I didn't go to like sleepaway camp. I had never been put in a situation. I didn't even
Mm,
have a roommate for crying out loud ever. I never had those like young adult experiences that would prep you to be with such a big group of people in a home, you know?
mm,
And there was a lot of things that were challenging for me to live with people that, at 25, 24, 25 years old, however old I was going in there, it was a bit challenging sometimes, you
mm.
know?
Yeah, and you had a very feisty cast. It wasn't just you. It was like a
I
lot of big
did.
personalities in that
I
house.
did. I did. And it didn't matter the approach that I went about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember looking at Rachel and telling Rachel, "Why do you keep opening up every bag of bread? Like finish one." And I said it nice the first few times. I was like, "Hey," and maybe like in a laughing way, and she just didn't give a shit, you
That
know?
would
And
drive me nuts. Oh,
and I
that would
come
drive me
from a
nuts.
place where like you don't waste food,
Mm,
okay? Like the biggest speech that I got at 8 years old all the time was like, "You eat your food and you clean that plate. You have no idea how many kids are starving. If I took you back to my country," like that's the way I grew up. And it still affects me till today. Like I do not like being wasteful. I mean, it'll even cause
mm,
issues between my partner and I now. My kids,
mm.
I tell them all the time. And my mother's famous thing that she used to tell me was, "You want 5 ice cream cones? No problem. You finish the first four first. As soon as you finish one, I'll get you another one. But you've got to finish some, And it was like every time I would go into the kitchen, she would just open, and her answer to me was she wanted a fresh one. And it was like, well,
Mm.
how's it ever going to be fresh if you just keep opening? So that was where it started. And by the end, it was just, and it's a shame that instead, and whatever. She got along with Maggie better, so that's fine. You know that
Yeah.
she ended up voting for Maggie again. It is what it is, but it was stupid what she did. She didn't let Howie have his vote, and that's just life, right?
Yeah, I know. It always comes back. People always say, "Oh, Yvette, maybe maybe she lost with the goodbye messages," because you were unfiltered. And I will say, I do appreciate it because these days, and I'm sure you've seen the show a little bit. Every DR is pretty much scripted. I feel like at this point, and you were very like open and unfiltered, and it's just so it is refreshing to watch that because you're like, damn, the show really got away from like being real because they're afraid of this cancel culture, which I understand, but like yeah. Do you look back at like sort of some of the DRs with Rachel and you're like, maybe I went too far, or like, that cost me the game? Or are you just like, I was living my life at that point. I was annoyed with her, and that's what it is.
Look, there's a very big saying in Spanish,
Teach me.
and it says, "Lo que está para ti, nadie te lo quita." And if you like watched me, I, I'm not like a witch or anything, but like I like saw a lot of what was happening. I had a lot of like visions at night too, and it wasn't meant for me. It didn't matter if I was going to be nice to her or not. That was not in the cards for me to win. That was not my life plan, was to win that game. So I'm okay with that because I'm convinced that if that prize was meant for me, I would have gotten it saying it or not, because
Yeah.
that's life,
I,
you
so,
know?
I sort of feel like that too. It kind of happens how it's supposed to happen. If the winner wins, they were meant to win, and
And
that's
you
it.
want to know something? The second night that I was there, and I've told people this before, the second night that I was there, I had a dream. And I was at the finale. I was at the finale. And it was balloons that came down and confetti. I'll never forget. But I couldn't see the face of who was walking out the door.
Oh wow.
I couldn't see the face. It wasn't me walking out and it wasn't Maggie. You know what I'm saying? So there was something that I knew that I was going to get pretty far, but I never really saw, my vision was never me with the balloons and the confetti. So that's why I say, like, I don't know. I don't regret it because that's who I am. And it's supposed to be a reality show and you're supposed to be who you are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, back then you were supposed to be here. Nowadays, I
Right.
think people just want Instagram followers, but yeah, it's a little
Right.
different.
Now that's another thing. Now it's hard for me to watch because now you have the token lesbian and the always the token guy, and
Yep.
you have the token Howie, because there's these players that pop up again that are a duplicate of who we were, right? What I
Mhm.
will give my hat off to, that I love that Big Brother has done, is that their cast is way more diverse now.
Well,
I love that
yeah.
it's almost half and half. So you don't have the one black person that everybody wants to get rid of week one, which is terrible, which is
Yep.
terrible.
Yep.
So I'm glad that they've done that. I'm glad that I mean, to me, hands down, forever, the cookout will be my favorite. And I know
I
that maybe not a
mean,
lot of people, huh?
no, I love the cookout. They're good friends of mine. Love those guys.
I mean, who the hell can pull that shit off like that? And
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 yeah, keep it a
that's
secret.
how
Like it's
oblivious
wild.
all of them are. That's how oblivious all of them are, because I would have been like,
Yeah.
Um, there's a group over there. Do you guys not see it? Like, I
Yeah.
think I would have picked it up, but I was born and raised in Miami.
Have you run into any alums over the years that are like, hey, I know you, or you really don't see people? Because I know you don't go to like reality events or anything like that.
I went to one. I went to two reality events actually. And I probably dabble. I mean, I find it fun. I like to give a honesty to the fans when they ask,
Mm.
if they and they don't have to like me. They can ask me questions and not like me. Just don't insult me.
Well, yeah, don't be an asshole.
Right. Like I've had people tell me, you know, I don't know how you're raising kids. You're a horrible human being. You should die. And it's like, okay, well, that's what you want to do with your time.
Mm.
Like, if there's
Yeah.
anything I've done pretty right in this life is those kids, I want to say. So, you know,
Yeah.
I think I
And you
think I
were,
think their grades and their awards and everything that they've accomplished in their short little lives say a lot about the way I parent. But hey, I'm not here to change anybody's mind.
And that's far more
Yeah.
important than Big Brother. I mean, let's be real. So,
People tell me too, like the question that you asked, right? And I
mm,
know it's like cheesy probably. And probably people didn't understand like my passion for my family, my love for my mom, like why I cried, like, you know, had I won, I probably wouldn't have had my kid, right? I probably would have
really?
gone off and done something else, like met somebody else, like not been in the place to have a baby. And so I picked my kids over any prize in this world,
Hmm.
1,000 times. Like if you told me, here's the prize and here's your kid, which one you prefer, like always, always that road that led me to being a mother, always, you
Yep.
know?
That
So,
just goes back to saying like things happen as they should happen, I think.
yes,
Totally agree with
yes,
that.
yes.
And speaking of that, I do want to touch a little bit on BB7 and BB22. First of all, BB7, obviously there were a bunch of people from BB6 there. I assumed at the time that not everyone was going to get on, but how did you think your chances are, and how hard was it when you didn't get on? Did you take it hard, or were you like, whatever?
So I got invited back and I was happy to go back, right? And I was happy to
Hmm.
see James. We kind of talked when I got there. And I was excited about it because I wanted to kind of fix, and not per
Yeah.
se fix, but just play different because I really went in very naive and I didn't go in really like playing the game. I don't think I played until the end, right? Um, so, but I knew I was too fresh off the game and America was not there with me yet and still not. I mean, I think there's a group that is, but I think there's a bigger group that prefers to hate me than to learn
Hmm.
me or even give me a chance, you know?
I Yeah, I don't understand. Like when people hate people, like you have too much energy right now to be hating. Like, why put energy into hating people? I don't get that. But
Right.
yeah.
Like I don't understand people. Like, someone will tell me, okay, perfect example, right? My girlfriend was a big fan of JLo. Let's just say she loved her, followed her, this, that, that, that. And she'd always tell me follow her. And I'm like, I don't really care to follow her. Like, why are you following somebody that you don't like? Why
Right,
are
right.
you looking up somebody that you don't like? And if you want to like confirm something that you thought about the person and you see it, confirm it and move on. You don't need to quote or say something or like, I just don't get it. Move on.
Yeah,
Do
it's just
your little research on the
negativity.
person, and just get packing.
Yeah,
I'm a
protect your
I'm a
peace.
90-day fiance junkie. Okay,
Oh, love that show. Love that
I'm a
show.
junkie.
If it's not as
I
good as it was, though,
cannot
is that
deal with what's her name? Gino's wife. I don't even know why I'm in
so
a blank now. Right? Am I gonna like write to her and tell her all these things? And
it's Jasmine, Gino and Jasmine. That's who you're talking about.
Jasmine, that's exactly right. Jesus,
She's
that woman works, but I'm not. See,
you don't
and I'm
follow her
sure she's
though.
got fans. I'm sure she's got fans,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So
I'm with you.
my girlfriend wants to kill me, but that's my guilty pleasure.
It's so addicting. I watch it too, so I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
Well,
So
so during Big Brother 7 though, there was like a ton of pre-gaming, right? So had you talked to anyone or no?
no, there wasn't pre-gaming. Who had pre-gaming? You see what I'm saying? See what I
Dr.
mean?
Will definitely was pre-gaming. Come on.
I don't know. Like,
I mean,
that
I don't
guy's a
know
lot
about
too.
everyone.
That guy's a
Yeah.
lot too. I was probably, see, here's the deal with me, and people don't understand. I am a major rule follower. Okay?
Oh, interesting.
Major rule follower. So I'm the type of person that if I go to the doctor's office and it says no cell phone use, I don't touch my phone.
Wow.
And my kids too. So I verbatim, and like those are issues with my partner too, where she says I am extremely literal. So if
Hmm.
part of my contract, part of what I'm supposed to do is not talk to anybody and sit in my room, guess what Yvette is doing?
Yep.
Sitting in her room and waiting her turn. So if other people were doing that, well, there you go again. That's probably why. I mean,
Yeah.
like whether people want to accept it or not, I am the most honest and fairest person you will ever meet in your life. Hands
Hmm.
down, I will tell anybody that.
Yeah, there's like a few players I've known over the years that are rule followers. Like some people will talk to me off record, some people prefer not to, and I just respect it. I'm like, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't want anyone to
Right.
get in trouble. So I've definitely met not many. There's most of them do talk, but there's a few of you that are like, no, I want to follow the rules, and I respect that.
However, I'm sure my contract or whatever NDA I had, I think is way
Oh,
past.
way past.
So
Yeah.
I don't mind saying what I need to say now.
Yes.
I actually think that they did not handle the third opportunity that they gave me very well.
I was about to bring that up. How did that go down? Because that was a missed opportunity on their part to have you on that cast. I think they needed you on that cast. So what happened?
So they reached out to me and asked me what I was doing because it was 2020, right? And they
Hmm.
didn't really have time to, like, I guess, interview new cast. They just kind of wanted to go with what they knew and how fun and fresh, and probably everybody was really, really excited about it. And reached out to me and said, "What do you think?" And I was going through a divorce. I was closing down my business. The kids were doing school from home. And I said, yeah, you know what? Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back and like do my thing,
Hmm.
like play the way I know how to play. And I think, right? Like, I think I'm really good at now. I feel like negotiating, convincing, and I'm way more level headed, like, and not so fly off the handle, right? And
Hmm.
just years of watching, I was ready. I was really excited to do it. And I mean, I got up until, I mean, pretty much the next thing to do was to buy my plane ticket, pretty much.
So it was right before sequester, essentially.
Right before. Okay. And I knew it.
Wow.
I knew it. I told
Okay.
my girlfriend because they were
Oh.
in and I was signing things and I was interviewing. I was doing everything. They were like, "You're in, you're selected, you're good to go." And I was like, "Great." And they were like, "Okay, we'll just call you in 3 days or in 2 days and let you know something else." And in 2 days, they didn't call me. And I looked at
Hmm.
my girlfriend and I said, "They've changed their mind. They're not picking me." And she said, "Why would you say that? Look, you got your bags, you got everything, you got the forms." And I was like, something happened and they're not taking me. And sure enough, it was, and I don't want to be insensitive to anybody. I'm trying to think of the time, so I don't want to act like, but I think it was around George Floyd. Am I?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and and
2020.
and that and that Black Lives Matter, and it was a really heightened time. And that's
Hmm.
exactly what they said. They said it's really charged times right now. And, they did some research and they found that somebody called you a racist and you'd be a risk to bring on the show.
Mm.
And I just got really annoyed because I was like, I've never hidden who I was. That information has been out there for, at that point, was what, 16, 7,
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
16 years. You knew who I was and you knew what they thought about me. So why would you offer me that opportunity and then come back and say, yeah, you know what? You're not a fit.
Hmm.
You knew I wasn't a fit from when you asked me to come on then. And,
Okay.
and, and
Yep.
there's something a little tricky about like opinions and thoughts too, right? Like, to me, I didn't like the way Kaser was pitching himself to everybody. And it was almost like
Hmm.
everybody take a bullet for me. And I didn't think that was cool. Like,
Hmm.
blatantly telling people like that, kind of like Dr. Will, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna lie to you all, you're all gonna fall for it, and you're all idiots, except Kaser didn't say it, but Kaser basically said, like, you should all take a fall for me, basically, you know?
Hmm.
And I didn't think it was right. And I think that whole narrative got really spinned around, and everybody forgets how Kaser was one of the first ones that they wanted out of the house.
Hmm.
And Eric, Cappy, and I believe Bo as well, we fought for him to stay on. We made sure to make friends with him. Like, I would go and all the time, and like, I'm respectful of his space, like, but he just came out like guns blazing too. And it was just not a good mix.
Yeah. Because I feel like your replacement must have been Keisha, right? Because she was in last minute, and I was like, that's an interesting
Keisha.
from BB10 blonde.
Cappy, don't you?
She was like
There were
a
some people there that didn't make any sense. They were not memorable, exciting. You know,
yeah. Well, Keisha was on her season, but she was not on BB22. She was Keisha, no offense, you were a little boring, but yes.
Right. Right.
Um, uh, okay, so that probably left not the best taste in your mouth, I'm sure. And I,
No,
yeah, did
you know, they
did they
could have no, and I really love Robin, and Robin was really bummed, but
mm,
I felt like I'm sure she didn't sell me and say, "Oh, like she was like, "Oh, it's Yvette. Remember how loud she was and this and that." Like so I thought that was unfortunate on BB's part, and I think that they should have allowed the people to speak. Like, had I been taken on the show, and then people would have been like, we're not going to watch, or she needs to come up, something. But they really didn't give us an opportunity, and isn't that what the diversity is about too? You know, and
mm.
allowing people an opportunity to perhaps fix something that was wrong or that they didn't maybe do right, like see a different. I think that's part of it too. See how the person has grown. And
Did
we
you
and again, great time with Janelle, but I mean, how many times can we watch her play the same exact way? I mean, I just
uh,
it's a lot already at this point. It's a lot. And how
all
many
right.
opportunities are we going to give her?
For real quick to wrap up BB22, did you end up watching the season or no?
I did. I did. I did.
Did,
I might have dragged off a bit, so you got to have to refresh my memory a little bit, but I'm almost sure I did because I was so annoyed too,
well,
you
that's what
know?
I figured.
Yeah.
Um, Janelle and Kaser did not get very far. They were pretty much teamed up on. Do you think? How do you think you would have fared in that game if you were in the house?
I think I would have teamed up with Janelle.
Yeah,
An unexpected. I think I would have teamed
that
up
would have been
with
fun.
I think I would have teamed up with Janelle and I would have done like an unexpected. I would have done an unexpected duo. Remind me who was the powerful duo in that again? It's like here. It's at the. Wasn't there somebody that they?
A duo other than Janelle and Kaser. I mean, you had Cody in there and Tyler and um, gosh, who else was in there? Freaking Nicole Franzel, Ian. I'm trying
I
to
like
think
Nicole,
duos
by the
though.
way. I know people. Her voice can get annoying, but I like Nicole. Yeah.
What is
But the Traders is a lot like Big Brother, a little bit, isn't it? It's interesting. It's very good. My girlfriend got me into it.
Yes, it's there's some flaws in that game with the competitions are a little like boring and not really like whatever, but I do like the fact that, there you have to lie and it's I don't know. Did you watch Dan and Janelle play?
I did. I
What
did.
were your thoughts?
I did. Um. Why are you trying to get me in trouble?
I mean,
I think people are fools for not thinking that Dan was that. I mean, if anybody even like that guy is just sneaky, like even saying hi, right? Like you can't trust that guy for the life of you. Okay, I don't care. In reality, in real life, just has that face. Like
yeah.
I wouldn't. And and I think I don't know how well Janelle played that. I think Janelle plays Big Brother well because she's just been so experienced, and like almost always also gets like the upper hand, I think.
I
But
also think, and I don't know how you feel about this, but like if you've been on TV a lot, you know how production works, you know how cameras work, you know where. So like I think I don't know if it was Janelle or someone was like, we could tell who the cameras were pointed at, where and those things matter when you've been on TV a couple of times because you can pick up on the storylines. They're probably all those little things. Who are they looking at? Like who are they talking to? Who's you
right.
know getting pulled away for confessionals more than others? I'm sure maybe now you would probably notice that more because in the like you said in BB6 you were kind of fresh and new, but like if you went back in the house, you might pick up on that stuff, right? Like
Oh
who's
yeah.
getting called
Oh
to the
yeah.
DR? Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
I
think
do.
that
And,
stuff
and
matters.
and and that's where it's not that fair. You know what I mean? Like when they also bring on cast like from before and there's something about a raw cast, right? And
Mhm.
I'm talking about a raw cast before Instagram, before Facebook, before people wanted followers, all that. Right? Because now people just play up a character that they think others want to see,
Yep, yep.
you know?
I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people do,
A
and it
lot
is.
of people
Yes.
are. A lot of people are.
The only
Or
But
go
the
ahead.
thing about Big Brother though is the live feeds don't lie. So like you could put on a front on an edited show for sure, but like people I think don't realize, and a lot of them go on Big Brother not realizing the live feeds are 24/7. They're like, oh,
Right.
like no one's watching. It's like, no, people watch.
But but you forget. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
Hmm.
You're in a house, you have no phone, no book, no newspaper, no news. Like I'm trying to break everything down for you, you know? I think we were the first ones to have a clock because of Kaser. Because Kaser needed to know the
Oh,
time so that he can do his prayers. Okay?
right.
So no clock, you're locked in a house sometimes, like, and you just forget.
Mm.
And in Miami, Cubans, we say talking shit, which is just like shooting the shit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just talking, and you just start talking and you start talking about your life. And I mean, you just go and you forget, you really forget the cameras are there. So
Hmm.
I think these fans that are so obsessed with Big Brothers too, like they're going to kill what makes what like why it's so great, why people are so candid, because eventually I think cameras will get pulled and people will really start, you're not going to start seeing people really being themselves and being free. And we're talking about 2005. I had no idea that Jennifer got fired from her job. Poor thing.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Do you remember that? Poor thing.
During Pressure Cooker, I know the reunion last year, she mentioned that. Did you experience anything that severe after you got out of the house? I'm assuming you didn't have the best
I think
experiences
so. I
either,
think
but
my parents, my mother is paranoid, right? So I think she even tried calling CBS or like somebody to tell me to stop talking, right? Because she was afraid that they were going to come. I don't know if somebody came to the house or called the house, but somebody did something or something happened and she was paranoid for me. She thought they were going to kill me. Like also like why should a parent have to feel like that?
after all of this, thinking about all this nonsense, are you done with Big Brother, or would you take that call again?
But would I take the call again to have them call me a week before, a few days before, and tell me, you know what, we found this on you? It's like, I've never hidden, I've never deleted anything. This is who I
Mm,
am. So if you're inviting me, it's because you want me. Because I'm genuine, I'm real. I'm not going to play anything up for anybody. This is who I am. So I don't know. I don't know. I'll always pick up Robin's phone calls. Always. I love her. I love her.
mm.
Um, I'll always pick up her calls. I don't know. I think I'd something fresh, maybe like I don't think I'm famous. And I'm not, and it's famous. I'm far from famous. I'm not known enough for something like Traders or I don't
But
know
that's
who
not
else would give
true.
me.
That's not true. Because, like, again, I know Daniel Reyes is like, everyone knows like, everyone in the Big Brother community knows Daniel Reyes. But
Right,
if you ask anyone on the street, they'd probably be like, who? Which is a great advantage in the traders to not be well known. So, like,
right,
you would go in with Big Brother people knowing how dangerous you could be, like how smart you are. But the average person in there probably wouldn't know, and that'd be good for you. I don't know.
right,
This is just me
right.
talking,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I would. I mean, I'd answer their call. I'm not an ungrateful girl. I'm not ungrateful. So I always remember who helped me in a tough time, who fed me, you know what I mean? Like I
yep.
always and that's just who I am, the moral my moral compass of who I am. So they were good to me. They gave me an amazing opportunity that not many people get. I mean, now a lot of people have
Mm.
gotten it, but at that time not many people got. And I'll always be grateful to them. The team itself was amazing. Um and is it Arnold? What's his name? The one with the
Arnold
yeah, but is
Shapiro?
he the one that says I think is it Arnold Shapiro who says Yvette? Put on your microphone. I think,
No, it's
anywho,
a different guy, but
no, it's a
yes,
different guy. It's
yeah,
trying to think of his name,
he's
and
still there.
Robin, and also, geez, I'm drawing blanks all over the place. And there's another one that always emails me and remembers my parents' birthday, and
Oh,
it's very sweet. So I would, but that was really disappointing. That was really disappointing and hurtful. And then people
yeah.
were like, she'd never get invited back. People were so nasty, and I wanted to engage. And Bo has asked me a couple times, but I can't do that nasty engaging. I just can't. I know it's
It's
part of it, but like I feel like if I'm taking away time from my family, it's got to be something good. Like I'm talking to you. I'm not going to be away from my family
Oh,
to have someone say you need to fucking die and you should burn on a pole kind of thing, like it's not happening. So,
yeah, I respect
mhm,
that.
yeah.
And speaking, you mentioned Bo. So how often do you chat with him?
I chat with him every now and then. I've had a crazy year. Um, Coincidentally, my brother Frankie, at that time, he was away, and this year he drowned and came back to life. They brought him back to life, but he was in a coma and medically, what do you call that? Gosh,
Like
I'm really
medically
bad today.
induced?
A medically induced coma, and he was paralyzed so that
Oh my
they could
God, I'm
flush
so
his body from
sorry.
the salt water. And it's just been a lot of things. My son had two surgeries, and so I've had a crazy year. But aside from that, like I just the kids, my parents, my
A lot going
family,
on.
that's what consumes me. And
Mhm.
my Bo, may he live his free, independent life as fierce as he does. He is just living it up.
He cracks
So
me up.
yeah, he's a good
He's
time.
hilarious.
He's a good
And
time.
real quick, I don't recall. I know this is on the internet somewhere, but when you guys were cast, because you were cast together, was it you or him? Like, how did that happen? I don't remember.
It was me. It
It
was
was?
me. It was me. I was
Ah,
waitressing at a restaurant called Cafeteria, and I was
in New
actually about
York?
to puke. No, in Miami. It used to be in Miami. They
Oh.
had one on Miami Beach on Lincoln Road. And
Mm.
I was about to puke because I had chugged a milkshake. And these two guys sat down at my table, and I looked at them and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm having an issue. I'll be right back. And I came back and I was like, let's just say I chugged the milkshake too fast. And they were like, oh my God. And we started talking. And of course, I'll talk to a wall. And we started talking. And I told them I was gay and I had a girlfriend. I was Cuban. And they invited me to an audition. And then when I went to the audition, I think by the third one that they flew me out to LA, they had said, and you gotta love TV, right?
Yeah.
They were like, do you have any black friends?
Really interesting. Okay.
Eh,
Again, okay. Hmm.
Gay and gay? And I was like, yeah,
Oh,
I've
wow.
got somebody. And Bo worked at Cafeteria with me, and we had just started like our
Ah,
friendship. So that's another thing that I always say too, right? Like Jen and April had been friends forever. Rachel and Howie had dated. Sarah and
James.
James were together. Kaser and Michael were friends. Janelle and
Ashley, yeah.
Ashley, or whatever her name is, they had they were cocktail waitresses down in Miami. Like everybody had been friends and like known each
Mm.
other for a while. I knew Bo like in passing from work and like laughing and connecting because we were gay, but not that I had ever even gone to lunch with him.
Interesting. See, I don't remember this because I was like in high school and I
Yes.
don't remember.
So for
Oh,
me, it
wow.
was, and so when everybody was like pairing everybody together like the first week and figuring it out, because my mom called it. My mom said that Maggie was going to win. The first day that she watched the show, she looked at my dad and said she's winning the show. Um, I was like, well, I barely know this guy. Like, you know what I mean? So that like people have to know like everything. Like I was really like
That's interesting.
a lost puppy dog. I really was. I
So
really
you
was.
didn't really have a rock as much as other people did at
No,
the time.
no,
Interesting.
and we ended up becoming a rock, which I was grateful for. You know,
Right.
because he did go down for me. How many times did I try to get kicked off? However, Jennifer and April really
Hmm.
went back on a big promise because it was all of us, and we had said, whoever makes it to the end and was the original one who signed up for the show is the person that we're going to give the prize to.
Oh, okay.
So, had Jen gotten to the end with, let's say, Maggie, we should have gotten it, we should have given it to Jen.
Because Cappy was the first one they.
Right.
Oh.
I brought Bo, Cappy brought Maggie, uh, Jen brought April. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I was kind of holding on to that a little bit. because I thought there would be a little bit of loyalty to that, but they didn't.
Interesting. That didn't factor into why you took Maggie over Janelle, though, right? Like that wasn't
No, that was just my word.
right.
That's all I
Right.
had was my
Yeah.
word. And
Mm,
I would have, and people don't understand this, but Maggie was there for me. Again, going back to, right? I'm
mm,
loyal and I never forget who does things for me. And Maggie was good to me. And I know that would have been a huge game move and everybody would love to have seen it, but I was not going to pick Janelle so that Janelle would have won at the end of the show and everybody would have laughed at me.
mm.
And I know that she would have won over me. I know that hands down she would have won over me.
Really?
100%. Jen and April were not going to vote for me.
Ah,
They were not in
interesting.
the place to vote for me. And
Hmm.
Rachel and Howie were not going to vote for me. So you've already got 4 votes right there.
Well,
And
yeah,
we
the
were only a
duos.
jury of 7. Remember,
Yep.
we were a jury of 7. So right there, that would have been Jen, April, Howie, and Rachel. 4. That's all I needed. They would have never voted for me.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I wasn't sure about April because, like, obviously you were in the same alliance, so I wasn't sure which way she would go. And then the other vote was James. I'm trying to think.
Right. April could have what April did to me outside was a sore loser move, which is why I had to go off on her. And she
mm,
could have made it up in some way because she knew me. We got close. We had some deep, deep conversations. She could have given me that vote too.
mm.
You know,
So many scenarios. It's so
it was a
interesting to
lot of
think about.
scenarios. When Janelle voted for me, I was like, "Oh, I have a chance." But I think she saw that. See, I think at the end of the day, Janelle appreciated the honest person that I was.
Yeah,
I think she gave some weight to that. I do.
yeah, I found a tweet from her from a few years ago, and she said something like that. She was explaining why she voted for you over Maggie, and she was just like, I don't recall exactly what she said, but it was something along those lines. I think she appreciated your game more, or something like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay,
Mhm. Yeah. And I'll tell you something from my perspective, those diary room confessions are honest. They're really honest. I've said it over the years. You
mm,
know, do they sit there and say maybe like, "Hey, we saw Bo talking to
right.
Janelle this morning having breakfast, having coffee. Do you think they're game playing?" That's it, but not like
Say this.
Bo and Janelle said this. At least to me. Again, to me.
Mm,
We don't know what's said in those diary rooms, right? Because at the end of the day, they need ratings and they need money. So,
yes.
do they do their own little moves to I don't know. I don't know. I can only tell you what I experienced in
Yep.
my diary rooms. I was never given a heads up. I was never given pointers. I was never nothing. Nothing. I
Mm.
just recall crying and thinking how life was so unfair. Like,
Well, yeah, because I remember just, I'm sure you remember, the only information you were getting about, like, especially how America was perceiving you was the voting, right? So, like, Janelle getting that phone call, or Kaser getting voted back in the game for whatever, was that
right.
67? Like,
Yeah.
that's the information you were getting, right? I don't
Right.
know. It's so
I
different
mean, it
now,
was
though.
awful to me. It was awful. It wasn't about me. People are she's such a it wasn't about me. I
Mm.
mean, that guy, Michael, who was like, who even cares about that guy, right? Just walked off the show and they're going to give the phone call. Like, this is what I'm talking about, America, right? Like, did she need the phone call from? She's never even spoken to him again. There was so many other people who could have received a call from a child, from from a parent, from a husband, a wife, like somebody really back at home that you just needed to hear their voice, right?
Yeah.
And if
I
they
mean,
put,
yeah.
huh?
No, looking back, the fact that it was yeah, it was kind of weird.
He left, and that's what they did with that. Like,
Yeah.
and if they understood how much you need it sometimes in there, they'd be they'd be a little kinder,
Mm.
honestly,
Yeah.
a little more aware. So
And real quick, I know you mentioned Maggie. Have you talked to her at all over the years? I know she's sort of MIA.
She called me to talk after I got back home and asked me, and I just told her that I wasn't in the place to talk to her and that I was really, really hurt.
Hmm.
You know, I was really hurt because I truly became friends with those people. It's hard to just sit there. Those people that go in there and say it's a game, I'm sorry. There's a part of you that's a really ugly person, okay? There's a side of you that's really ugly, that's really conniving, that you just were given like permission to do it, and other people
Hmm.
turn their face. But if you're good to your core, you don't fuck over anybody for anything. That's me, though. That's me.
Okay,
There's
so
another way of doing that. There's a
if
way,
you're in
another
a
way.
if
Hmm.
you're in a jury ever again, you're still voting for loyalty over someone who can compartmentalize like their feelings and just be a game bot or whatever you want to call it.
If their game affected somebody and they used like somebody in a horrible way too, I can't award that. I
Hmm.
can't. I can't.
Fair.
You
Everyone
know?
has their own
Yeah.
reasons for
You
sure.
know, and like why are we awarding, like it's just there's different ways to play and win things in life, right? And we don't have to go for the cutthroat, fuck everybody over,
Hmm.
because we could all be like that, right? But we didn't, a lot of us chose not to. We choose not to, right? Like, let's just say in life too. You could fuck over
Yeah.
somebody, you could step over their toes to get higher up in a position, but like, not cool, you know?
No. I'm
Not
too
cool.
sensitive for that. That's why I could never play Big Brother. I give you so much credit because I give all everyone like if you go on reality TV, props to you. Couldn't be
Yeah,
me. I'd be
it's
crying every
hard.
day.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.